Welcome to the top 10 most pulled comic books for October 30th, 2024. Happy early Halloween to everyone out there. Hopefully you guys will have a safe one. This is the video series where I talk about comic books that people are most excited about buying. And if you like that kind of thing and you like daily comic book content, why don't you guys consider hitting that subscribe button? It's much appreciated. Yeah, so I get this data from LeagueOfComicGeeks.com, and this is a website where you can create weekly pull lists, monthly pull lists, however you want to do it. And I just go down the line of what comic book is most pulled and least pulled, right? And it's a great site. It's a awesome site to figure out what's coming out each week. So again, it's for free, so check it out. And with that being said, let's get started with this week's episode. And as we do every week, we start with the book that's on the outside looking in. There's 5 of them. And the first one is Thundercats. This is issue 9. Is this a slow week? I don't know how many people are still reading Thundercats. Let me know in the comments below. This is a $5 comic book, right? You get a cardstock cover. It's kind of low for like a number 15. Must be, like I said, slow book. 1,704 pulls. It's written by Declan Shavely and the art is done by Drew Moss. When it comes to Thundercats, I dropped it, I think, after issue 3. I thought there was a little bit too much going on in the comic. I didn't think the artwork lived up to, I would say, the cartoon, because if you were younger, you know what that artwork looked like. And it just, I don't know, man. There was just something missing from the comic that drew me away. But if you're still reading it, that's awesome. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. The second book that's on the outside looking in goes to Predator vs. Black Panther. This is issue 3. For $5, you're going to get 28 pages. That seems a little pricey to me. No, thank you. This one only has 1,779 pulls. It is written by Benjamin Percy, great writer. Art is done by Chris Allen here. So yeah, I mean, it says it in the title, right? You got Predator versus Black Panther. There's nothing here to where I'm going to sit there and go, man, I got to buy this one. I think if maybe you're a Black Panther fan, you might check it out. Or if you do like the Predator character, you might check it out. I like Predator. I think Black Panther's okay, but not the hugest fans. So I'm going to pass on this one. What do you guys think? Now, our third book on the outside looking in deserves definitely more love than what it's getting. This is Feral. This is issue 7. It's a $4 comic book. This one has 1,802 pulls. This is written by Tony Fleece and art is done by Trish Forrester and Tone Rodriguez. This book is great, man. This is just basically a zombie book, but with cats, right? And you get to see this rabies outbreak happen and running away from animals that have rabies, and it's just very intense and very suspenseful and like in your face. And the last issue was just like very tough because you get to see a point of view of a cat that actually had rabies and he's trying to get home. He's thirsty, but he can't drink. It's absolutely insane. I really enjoy this series. It's very heart-wrenching to see an animal suffer, you know, because of what it's going through, but it is definitely a solid story. So our fourth book that's on the outside looking in goes to Phases of Moon Knight. This is issue 3. It's a 40-page comic for the price of $5. This book, finally, we break the 2,000 mark. We're at 2,334 pulls. It's written by Justina Ireland, and the art is done by Daniel Bayliss. When it comes to Phases of Moon Knight, I honestly do not have any interest in reading this comic because the book that I read is Jed MacKay's Moon Knight, so I don't need 2 Moon Knight books. I'm not that huge of a fan of the character where I need to read everything and anything on Moon Knight, so I'm just going to stay with Jed MacKay. How many of you guys out there are reading this one? Our final book that's on the outside looking in goes to The Nice House by the Sea, issue 4. Unfortunately, I did drop this. I thought the second issue of it wasn't the greatest. That's just my personal opinion here. I felt that it was very much almost like a similar aspect as the first volume. And this one now has the DC, I guess, vertical logo on there going forward. So this one has 2,565 pulls. It's written by James Tynion IV. The art is done by Alvaro Martinez Bueno. And what happens in this house is pretty much the impossible, or what happens in this issue is the impossible has happened. We wind up getting to see the house being invaded from the outside. So does that mean we get just normal everyday people coming into the house and checking out what happens? I don't know. How do the people protect themselves? Because based off of what happens in Nice House on the Lake, like, the people that are inside are always protected from the outside elements. So that does make for a different type of twist here. So now we're on to the top 10 officially, and grabbing that number 10 spot by a thread goes to Redcoat issue 7. I'm happy because this book is a really good book. It's a 32-page comic for the price of $4. It has 2,838 pulls. My gosh, I mean, that is rough right there. You would think that it would have more pulls than it does. I just feel like this series is very underestimated. Jeff Johns does a wonderful job. Brian Hitch does a great job on the artwork here. And, you know, we got Redcoat, Simon Pure's first adventure concludes, and then we wind up getting a very emotional tale supposedly in this particular issue, and he comes face to face with the consequences of his long life, because you know how long he's been alive, so I'm sure he's done some serious crap, right, in his past. So very interesting to see what this comic book has to offer. Coming in at number 9 is Captain America issue 14. I don't hear anybody reading Captain America comic books these days. The legacy numbering here is 764, 32 pages for the price of $5. The pull on this one is 2,913. I am telling you, man, usually by the time we get to the top 10, we have over 4,000 pulls. So this is insane to me. The writer here is J. Michael Straczynski. The art is done by Carlos Magno. And it looks like we have Thor and Spider-Man in this comic book. And I think when I read the very first couple issues, like, Spider-Man was in the series then too. So has he been in this series the entire time trying to sell more books for Captain America? I don't know, man. I have no idea what's happening here. But if you guys are reading Captain America, again, let me know in the comments below. What do you think of this story? And are you just waiting to see if there is another reboot when it comes to the character's book? Our number 8 book goes to Wolverine Revenge. This is issue 3. 28 pages for the price of $5. This book does have 3,298 pulls. It's written by Jonathan Hickman, and the art is done by Greg Capullo. You buy this work because of that beautiful artwork and the action. There is no real in-depth story here. It literally is Wolverine getting his revenge on what happened to him based off of the first issue. He took on Sabretooth in the last issue. Looks like he's going to be taking on probably Omega Red and Colossus and Deadpool in future issues. So again, just turn your mind off, have fun, and enjoy the action. Grabbing the number 7 spot, man, oh man, NYX, this is issue 4. 32 pages, $4. This book has 3,681 pulls. The cover here is an homage, I think, to Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, issue 361. That's what it looks like to me. Who cares? It's written by Jackson Lansing, written and Colin Kelly, and the art is done by Inad Balam. When it came to NYX, I read the first issue, I read the second issue, just not for me, not my style book. This book might be a book that is maybe for a younger audience, not sure, but you know, just the cast of characters that are in this book just does not interest me, right? You got characters like Prodigy and Noel, Ms. Marvel, you got Sophie, and the only character that I like, honestly, is Laura Kinney in here. So nothing here that's going to sit there and go, oh, I'm going to read this book. Like, why should I if there's no great characters? So coming in at number 6 is Wolverine Revenge, the Red Band edition. This is issue 3. So you guys are still buying this. You know, you're still buying the regular and the poly bag. I'm just going to stick with the poly bag. This one is 32 pages for $6. It does have 4,000 4,043 pulls, but for a number 6 on the most pulled list, that's not that good, man. Obviously, we know who writes it, who does the artwork in here based off of what we talked about a couple minutes ago, and this will be the one that I pick up because I do want to see the little bit of extra content that's offered and a little bit of gore and artwork that Capullo adds to this comic. All right, so here we go. Top 5. Let's see if it delivers. This is Batman, The Long Halloween, The Last Halloween. This is issue 2, 32 pages, $5. Perfect to get yourself in the mood for Halloween. This book does have 4,265 pulls. It's written by Jeb Loeb and the art is done by Klaus Johnson. The first issue was great. You didn't have to read the previous series to understand what was going on in this comic book. Obviously, it takes place a long time ago as we wind up getting to see, who got stolen? Was it Barbara Gordon? Maybe? One of the kids wound up getting stolen. There's certain people that wound up getting murdered in the last issue as well. And it made it for a very interesting cliffhanger. You're not sure who the copycat murderer is in here. So I'm definitely looking forward to this. Let's hope it delivers each and every month it comes out and that it does not get old. Coming in at number 4, and this book usually is not quite in the top 5, even number 4 even, right? This is Spawn. This is issue 358. Don't get me wrong, Spawn is usually pretty good. I would say most of the time it might be in the top 10 or top 15, but never in the top 5. So this book is 24 pages, great price point for $3. This one does have 4,501 pulls. Todd McFarlane is the writer here with Rory McConneville, and the art is done by Brett Booth. Brett Booth artwork is phenomenal in these Spawn comic books, and we wind up getting to see Spawn team up with a new character by the name of Laura here. She is a heaven and hell character, so she still has her powers, and we wind up getting to see Spawn go after the character by the name of Blood, who is a vampire, as the vampires are trying to take advantage of while all the Spawn characters and angels do not have their powers, right? So it's like, yeah, vampires rule the world, right? So that's what this comic's been about. It's been an interesting read. I've enjoyed it. Is it top 5 material? I don't think so, but for this particular week, it definitely is. Here we go, top 3. We have Ultimate X-Men. This is issue 8, 32 pages, $5. This book jumps up way, like it doubles, right, in pull. This book has 8,553 pulls. Written and drawn by Peach Momoko. There are lots of fans of Peach Momoko. A lot of fans just do like the Ultimate X-Men book. I liked it up until a point. Then we just got way too many characters in the comic book, and then we got this whole Children of the Atom thing, and I'm just like, whoa, man. Like, it just lost me. So trying to remember all the characters in their Japanese culture and all those other different things, it just got to the point where it was a little bit overwhelming and I just couldn't get into it anymore. So I dropped this book. I'm not saying it's a bad book. I'm saying if you like it, that's awesome. It's something completely different, especially if maybe you're a manga fan or like that Japanese culture and stuff like that. Good on you, man. But for me, I'm just passing on it now. Coming in at number 2, we have Action Comics. This is issue 1073, 40 pages for the price of $5. This book has 8,847 pulls, written by Mark Waid. Clayton Henry does the artwork with Michael Shelfer. Listen, nothing against Action Comics. I think before it went weekly, it was definitely a series that we read every time that it comes out. Even with Mark Waid writing this book, I am not going to read it because I can read 3 other comic books, right? Or 4 other comic books if I drop it all together. I can't find myself diving into an Action Comics comic book. That's $20 a month for one comic. So could I do it with Amazing Spider-Man? Yeah, because that's my favorite character. Superman is not. So unfortunately, I am going to pass on this. And maybe when it goes to weekly again, I will pick it up. And our number 1 most pulled comic book for October 30th, 2024 goes to The Amazing Spider-Man, issue 60. Sick, guys. It's finally fucking over, right? I mean, dude, I'm so excited. Legacy numbering 954. 64 pages. Of course, they're going to grab you for $8 freaking one more time when it comes to this, for this run, right? This book has 10,163 pulls. Of course, written by Zeb Wells, and your art here is going to be Ed McGuinness. Is that right? Is John Romita Jr. not doing the final issue of this? You're also going to get Joe Kelly on this one, because not only is it going to wrap up the current story, but it's also going to introduce you to the 8 deaths of Spider-Man as well. So one chapter ends, another one begins, so you're going to see that. But how are they going to close out this run, dude? Like, this honestly, I hate saying this, but this is literally, after all said and done, the worst run I have ever read on Amazing Spider-Man. I've read Amazing Spider-Man since I was a kid. This has been the worst run. Characters not utilized right. We get introduced to characters that we don't want. What the hell happened to Paul? Like, he was in a little story at the end. Is he gonna die? Is he gonna live? What happened to Black Cat? Like, Mary Jane is fucking jackpot. Like, oh, I can't go on. I'm gonna lose myself. So hopefully this story will get good once Joe Kelly gets on it, and we have a fun read when it comes to the 8 deaths of Spider-Man. And then where do we go from there? I have no idea. All right, so now it's time for Spider Slayer's sleeper pick, and this one goes to Uncanny Valley. This is issue 6, guys. This one is a $5 comic book, and I think this is the conclusion to the first story arc or first volume when it comes to this series. This book does have 735 pulls, which is definitely underrated. People should read this book. It's so well done here. It's written by Tony Fleece. Dave Watcher does the artwork here, and this is a dive into the cartoonist desk for a look back at the origins of the cartoon world and its connections to the real world. And it's a lore expanding issue of the prehistoric and biblical proportions. This is a great story, something almost just like the moon is following us. It's just something that takes you to a different universes. It crosses over from real world to fake world. It's fun, and it's creative, and that's what makes comics so great, right? Just something different. And there you have it, guys. There are the top 10 most pulled comic books for October 30th, 2024. Definitely a pathetic week. I wonder if it's because of Halloween, right? Not very many comic books coming out with high pull numbers or highly anticipated comic books. But tell me your thoughts in the comments below. What are you excited about picking up for the current comic book week? And as always, guys, make sure you check out more of my content right here, especially after the poll. This is where I cover all of the comic books for the current comic book week. And as always, guys, support the local comic shops. Keep buying, keep collecting, but always read your comics so we can have great comic conversation. And I'll see you on New Comic Book Day.